Well, let's start out with your early life. Who were your role models when you were growing up?
Oh, clearly, my parents were incredible role models in my life. Hardworking, down-to-earth family people. They really shaped and influenced my life greatly.
In your remarks to the Academy, you talked a lot about how they stress the importance of family. Could you speak to that?
Both my mom and dad came from big families. Each of them had many siblings. They came from farm families. So the tradition of helping your siblings and your siblings helping you started probably on the farm with chores, but continued really through their lives. Right now, one aunt remains of all the siblings of my parents. But even still, there's this sense of her being concerned about all of us and wanting to be a part of our lives even though we're separated by distance. So family first really came through very clearly to me from both my mother and my father. And clearly they set the tone for my sisters and I to be very close, even though we're separated by miles. And so we've tried to instill that same sense in our children of being aware of the needs of each other, celebrating their joys together, helping solve problems together. And one of the things we found in our own families and in the family we established was that mealtime was an extremely important time to invest in. And it was a time we could come together and share in food, certainly, but also share in each other's lives. And so that, too, was a tradition that came to my husband and I from our own families.
It's been a continuing theme. You earned a degree in home economics at the University of Illinois, and as I understand it, you worked as an educator in the Cooperative Extension Service?
That's correct. I have a wonderful affiliation and association with the University of Illinois for many years. As a student there, I could not be more proud of the University of Illinois as my alma mater. And then I had the great pleasure of working in the University of Illinois Cooperative Extension Service for all of the years from my early career until I stopped working to start a family. And then in more recent years, I've had a great opportunity to be involved as a very proud alumni and involved in supporting the university in many ways. So it continues to be a very important entity in my life from an educational standpoint, but also in terms of being able to be a part of educating young people today through some of the work that we've been able to do with the University of Illinois.
When did the idea of the Pampered Chef start to form in your mind? You've been out of the world of work for a while.
In 1980, I had been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years and absolutely loved that role, but felt that it was time for me to get back into work full-time to bring some additional income into our family. And clearly, I had an incredible role model of a working mom in my own mother. And so it felt very natural for me to think about getting back into career and working. But having been a stay-at-home mom, a full-time mom, I absolutely loved being there when my children went off to school and when they came home and being there for all the important occasions. So my desire to work was tempered by my desire to have the flexibility to still be involved in those important things. And so that's what really caused me to start to think about another way to go to work. And the result of that brainstorming is the Pampered Chef, because it offered me the opportunity to do something meaningful, something that I loved, but to do it on my own terms with some flexibility that allowed me to prioritize my family.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand, you started basically in your basement with a small loan and your husband working with you to get things rolling?
You know, the startup of the Pampered Chef is truly a story of working things out in a very simple and cost-effective way. And so the opportunity to start a business at home allowed me, first of all, to have flexibility for my family, but it also allowed us to start this business on a very, very small investment. And we actually took out a loan from my husband's life insurance policy, so it was a low-interest loan for $3,000, and used that as the seed money to start the business. And of course, starting it in our basement was a very frugal way to do that, but it also served me in that need to want to be at home as I was getting started in the business.
Oh, okay. How did the business model develop, with you personally demonstrating how the products worked? How did that evolve?
You know, the startup of the Pampered Chef was really, was in many ways done to be very simple and very manageable. I had no background in business or in direct selling. I had been a teacher and I loved to cook, so those were my two credentials that I brought to the business. So I really started it in a way that made sense to me, which was direct selling was an easy way to get into the business, or so it seemed to me at that time. Didn't require store hours, didn't require a lot of inventory. Those were pluses if you were starting out on a shoestring. And being able to work from home. So I approached direct selling in the way that I knew how to do it, which was to be teaching. And I knew about great tools for the kitchen, and I also knew that most of the people I knew didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the things in the drawers in their kitchen. They spent a lot of time thinking about the big appliances, but they didn't really spend time thinking about the knives and the cutting boards and the cookware. And that's what I knew a lot about, and I had opinions about what was really going to be useful in the kitchen and what was simply a waste of time and money. So I started the business with selecting products that I knew and loved from my experience as a home economist, things that were kind of hard to find in the retail environment. And then I simply taught people how to use them. And it worked. Along the way, I realized that the fact that I love to cook, people needed inspiration about cooking. They were time-starved. This was one more task on their list of many things that they had to do. They didn't, in all cases, have the same love of cooking that I did, but they needed to cook, and they wanted to cook to nourish and sustain their families. And so inspiration by way of recipes and ideas that would help them get in and out of the kitchen fast if that's what they wanted to do became the mantra of the Pampered Chef.
So when did you start to bring consultants into the business? You thought about it.
Within the first year of the business, someone came to me and said, "I'd like to do what you're doing. Is that what you're thinking of?" Well, I had thought from the beginning that I would expand the business by having other people do what I was doing, but I was so busy with all the startup tasks that I really hadn't gotten to that. Once we started bringing people into the business, I could really see that this was an incredible opportunity to offer others the same flexibility that I sought. And so by the end of the first full year of business, there were 12 consultants who were doing pretty much the same thing that I was doing, and I did it right alongside of them. And what I could see from this is that we could learn from each other, we could build on each other's ideas and creativity, and clearly started seeing that the opportunity that we offer in our business is truly one of our best products. And it is something that gives people some choices in their own life, just as I had sought those same choices. So that has been one of our great success stories, that we have been able to build and grow the business and offer people an opportunity to do this business that allows them to prioritize their family.
It's very empowering from what I've seen. Very empowering.
It truly empowers men and women. We do have some men involved in our business as well as women, to create the lifestyle that they desire and to set priorities that are theirs. They're in the driver's seat, so to speak, in how they craft this business and career.
There was a steady record of growth through the 80s, 90s, and into the 21st century. Lots of new product lines were added. What was the secret to the company's success? This is phenomenal growth.
It's really hard to quantify what the secret to success is, or perhaps a better way to say it is I'm not sure there is one secret to success. I think a vital product line is extremely important, and if we didn't have that, the business would not be successful. So continuing to refine the product line and to create exclusive products and to make them make sense, make products that make sense, is really important in our success. But if I had to choose one thing that is ultimately responsible for our success, it is our independent contractors, our salespeople, because they single-handedly drive their businesses to success. And in so doing, they drive the Pampered Chef's success. And I believe that the opportunity that we offer, particularly to women, to have a career that is meaningful, and meaningful in terms of work, but also meaningful in terms of income, while still giving them the opportunity to make choices about how they want to live their life, having some flexibility, having choices, being able to work from home. I think those are all incredibly important things that have driven the success of the Pampered Chef.
You just came off a big event here in the Chicagoland area. Was it McCormick Place?
We sponsor a lot of meetings throughout the year, but the big meeting of the year is our national conference, which gathers our consultants from across the country to come together for learning, new product introductions, sales training, and one really important thing that we do is recognition of the success that they've achieved over the last year. And that's another piece that I think fuels the success of this business, is that we recognize people for what they have done well. And there aren't a lot of places in our lives today where recognition for a job well done is a focus.
How did the Pampered Chef become part of Berkshire Hathaway? I know there's a story behind this.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to start it with
That's all right, don't you worry.
The Pampered Chef is a business that is now in its 30th year. And around about 2000, in our 20th year, my husband and I started to take stock of where we were with the business and what we saw as the future of the business. And when we started the business, one of our goals was to be able to afford college education for our children. By 2000, both of our daughters had graduated from college and they were off charting their own careers. And what we realized is that they were not going to choose to be involved in this business. And that was fine with us. We wanted them to choose to do what they wanted to do. This was my dream. I want them to clearly be able to achieve their own dreams. But that left us with the thought of what would happen with the business when we were no longer to be able to be involved full time. And so we started thinking about the longevity of the business, the ability to make sure this business was going to be in good hands long beyond the time that we were able to be here and be involved. And that caused us to think about a partner. As we searched, we approached the Berkshire Hathaway organization, and they were interested. We could not have chosen a better partner than Berkshire Hathaway to take on this business and to sustain it and nurture it for the long haul. And the reason I say that is they choose companies that are well managed and allow them to go on under that same management structure to continue to achieve as they go forward. So we were very pleased to be chosen by Berkshire Hathaway, and that was 8 years ago, and we could not be happier with the way this has all played out.
No doubt. You've touched upon this several times, but I want to go ahead and ask it formally. How did the Pampered Chef reflect your values of stressing the importance of family life? You've written about it in your books. What do you want people to learn from what you've been able to accomplish here?
You know, I think when you found a company and you stay with it for some amount of time, as the company develops, at least in the case of the Pampered Chef, the company really took on my personal values. A belief in hard work, honesty and integrity, respect for others, determination as you work toward a goal. I believe it's really that kind of transfer of my values to the company that occurred just very naturally over the first 10 and 20 years of the business. The business today has many of those same values and also an incredible sense of giving back. That has been one of the greatest joys of the business, is seeing our consultants rally around causes that are meaningful to us and meaningful to them, and being able to be a part of something bigger than they could do on their own. And you know, that too is one of the values that I think has been so important to me and to my family, but also clearly plays out in the strategy of the Pampered Chef.
I'd like to expand upon that a little bit. You founded the Pampered Chef Family Resiliency Program at your alma mater. They do a lot of different kinds of work there, but for the layperson, what would you like people to know about what their goals are, what their purpose is there at U of I?
The Family Resiliency Program at the University of Illinois is a very unique program. They look at the family from many viewpoints with the focus of holding up strategies, practices, beliefs of families that help them to be resilient in the face of the many challenges that families face today. They do research, they do outreach in the community, but everything that they do is really intended to help us better understand what makes families strong and resilient, with the hope that we can then model these practices with all families everywhere. It's an incredible program that really does help families today cope with the challenges that they face.
How long has it been in operation?
Oh, that's a good question.
I can find that out.
Yeah, I think it's 2000. Well, 2000 is when I think we endowed the chair in family resiliency, so it might even be a little ahead of that.
I've looked at their website. They're doing some really good work there.
They continue to just amaze me with the various research projects that they're involved in, but then also the way that they take that knowledge and bring it forward so that people can use it and take advantage of it, all with the hope of educating about best practices with families.
You're also deeply involved in the Roundup from the Heart campaign. How does this work to raise money for food banks around the country?
In 1990, born out of an overwhelming amount of gratitude that my husband and I felt for the incredible way in which people had embraced this business, the Pampered Chef, we looked at what was going on in the world and said, we need to be a part of giving back in some way, in a very powerful way. As we thought about the work that we do, which is to celebrate family mealtime and to do everything that we can to make family mealtime joyful and positive and practical for families. We knew that there were many people in this country who were not able to sit down and enjoy a meal because they were in circumstances beyond their control in many cases. And so we felt that if we could be a part of making sure that there was a place at the table for everyone, no matter what their circumstances, that this would be an extremely powerful thing for us to do as human beings and for us to do as a company. And so we embarked on the Roundup from the Heart program with what was then America's Second Harvest, today Feeding America. And we were one of the first corporate partners in providing support for Feeding America. And we've continued to have this campaign that allows our customers to round up their order to the nearest dollar, with the difference between what they owe us for their order and that amount they've rounded up to going directly to the food bank that is in the area where the show is held. So it has a very local feel, but it also has a national impact. And it has continued to be an amazing program. Our customers have responded, our consultants have responded, and it's something that we at our home office are also extremely proud of.
I like the way it works at the local level. That's very good. You're also very involved in the fight against cancer with Help Whip Cancer. How does this campaign work to raise money for education and awareness?
In 2000, we had a decade of very successful support of some other charitable programs and decided that we could do more. And as we looked around, most of our field sales force, they're predominantly women. Our customers are predominantly women. And breast cancer is a major, major disease that we fight in the world, really. So we wanted to be a part of providing some help and solutions. At the Pampered Chef, we're very uniquely positioned to educate. We educate about food and about recipes and about products that we use in the kitchen. And we felt we could do more. And so we embarked on a campaign with the American Cancer Society to provide education about early detection of breast cancer. Again, immediately we were successful in being able to offer information in a very non-threatening way to our customers. And we also sold products that carried a donation that went back to American Cancer Society to support this early detection and education program for breast cancer detection.
It's been very successful from what I've read.
It has. We have been blessed with, I think, really the response that we have had to the charitable giving campaigns that we are involved in at the Pampered Chef is really a sign of how average people want to be involved in giving back. All we need to do is provide a vehicle. And our charitable giving campaigns have provided a vehicle to educate, to bring awareness to these causes, and also to give people a very easy way to get involved and to give back.
I'm coming to the end of my questions. Very good. Well, as we come to the end, in your address to the Academy, you talked about meal times and abundant blessings being important themes in the story of your life. What's given you the most personal satisfaction from what you and your family have been able to accomplish with the Pampered Chef over the years?
Oh, do I have to pick one?
Pick as many as you want.
Being able to offer other people the same opportunity that I sought when I started the business is certainly one of the important accomplishments in this business. And another is the ability to not only give back, but to model giving back for individuals, corporations, everyone. I think the opportunity that we've offered people to get involved in giving back and experiencing how that feels has launched many people into more opportunities that they see in their own lives to be a part of giving back to their community. And I think those probably, those are a couple of the things that are most meaningful. Certainly being able to be a role model for women and to offer women the opportunity to find satisfying work is right up there as well.
What was your reaction when you learned that you'd been nominated as a laureate of the Lincoln Academy?
Well, I have to say that it's an overwhelming honor to be chosen to be in the Lincoln Academy. It is a unique program, certainly. I have worked, learned, and lived in Illinois my entire life. So, you know, this is a very special place to me. And to be chosen to be honored in this way is one of the greatest honors that I've ever had.